How's it going? My name's John with Blackbird Productions, and today I'm talking about 5 misconceptions that Tesla buyers have currently in today's market. My goal is that by the end of this video, you'll have some insight into some of the common questions and concerns new Tesla buyers have. So with that, let's get into today's video. First common misconception is insurance. When I first bought this car, I was thinking, I'm pretty sure this car is gonna be super cheap on insurance just because it's an EV. It's made to save the planet and save us from all the gas emissions and things like that, but that just wasn't the case, unfortunately. And to be honest with you, I don't really think insurance companies care about what type of car it is. They'll get their premium some kind of way. But for me, I paid $244 or $46 a month for full coverage for my Tesla Model 3 Performance. And it's expensive compared to any other car I've owned. I mean, the last car I owned before this was a BMW i8, which is a supercar, depending on who you ask. And I want to say my insurance for that car was roughly around $312 or something per month, but it was bundled into another policy with an additional car. So I think altogether it was $432 with a discount. And that just gives you some perspective on what to expect when you're shopping for insurance. And if you're curious, I'll actually throw up my policy so you can get an idea of what my coverages are. So maybe you can get sort of the same price or at least a ballpark price of what I'm paying today. As far as my age, I'm in my 20s. I'm not gonna say exactly what my age is just because I'm pretty conscious about just disclosing like personally identifiable information, but I'm in my 20s and that's what I'm paying for full coverage for this car. And it's a 4-door sedan. So typically, at least in the state of Texas, 4-door sedans usually get a break when it comes to insurance just because the insurance companies deem them as less of a risk to insure, as opposed to getting like a coupe or a roadster or even a hatchback. So that's food for thought as you're shopping around for insurance quotes. Second misconception, Teslas are unreliable. And I hear this a lot on Reddit, and it's usually paired with unreliability and the quality that Tesla offers in their cars. And I'll talk about both of them in this video, so definitely stick around. But when it comes to reliability, it's an electric car. I've owned another electric car before this. I say electric, but it was really like more of a hybrid, but it's marketed as an electric vehicle. And that is the BMW i3. That car, the quality was completely terrible. It's actually worse than what I have had in my Tesla in terms of what I've encountered with it so far, at least. But bad quality doesn't necessarily mean it's not a reliable car. It actually also depends on where the quality faults are or where the quality control issues are within the car. With Teslas, it's mainly down to cosmetic items like trim, maybe lighting strips, maybe blemishes on the hood, stuff like that, or paint, for example, just cosmetic stuff. I've never come across anything where it breaks down the powertrain or something, or it just completely depletes the battery of range for some random reason. Just weird stuff like that where you can't use the car is inoperable. And the Tesla, it doesn't have a traditional motor like a gas car, so you can't fault the motor for going out, for example, or anything like that. The only thing it really has is electric generators, and based on what I understand, there's 4, just because it's an all-wheel drive and it has 4 motors running this car's powertrain. And I have yet to see anything break down with those motors, nor have I seen anything on the Tesla forums or anything like that. So I think quality, it's not the best when it comes to Tesla, and it definitely is getting better. But when it comes to reliability, I think it's a pretty reliable car as far as I've owned it. And I'll say that to my BMW i3 as well. Despite all the quality issues that it had, it was still a pretty solid car and it was pretty reliable. So for the third misconception, I'll talk a little bit about quality in my 2024 Tesla Model 3 Performance, and quality just across the board when it comes to Teslas, at least in my experience. from what I understand, the earlier Model 3s, and I'm using the Model 3 for example just because that's the most experience I have when it comes to Tesla. I've never driven a Model Y, and I've never driven a Model X or a Model S. My dad came close to buying one, but the buyer backed out on his car, so he couldn't make a move on it. But anyway, when it comes to quality in the Model 3s, at least for this year, I haven't seen anything like game breaking, essentially. Like, I haven't seen any powertrain issues or anything like that. I've only seen cosmetic things, and usually they're so small and finite that Tesla is more than happy to send out a mobile service to your location to address those issues. And you could also get those addressed, depending on how busy they are, you could also get them addressed at the service center when you're taking delivery of your new Tesla. For me, and I made a video about all the issues that I found on my Tesla during delivery day, and you can view it in a card somewhere above here. But for me, I came across like some paint blemishes. There was like a scratch on the trim, but it wasn't anything like super crazy. I guess you could say the paint has some orange peel, but the reality is that most cars in 2024 have this orange peel. But for me, I don't think it's really something that bothers me, just because the car looks so stunning in the sunlight, you hardly even notice it. Unless you're like right up on it, like practically touching the car, you'll probably notice it. But even then, like if you look at most Corvettes these days, they have that stuff all the way around the car. Whereas with the Tesla, I find that it's predominantly in the rear of the car, so the trunk area. There's some orange peel around the sides of the car as well, but it's not really like super noticeable, not as noticeable as the rear. So my advice when you're shopping around for a Tesla, or maybe even taking delivery of one, is check out the pre-delivery checklist. And it gives you some insight into some of the items that you might come across when it comes to quality. And like I said, if you pick out something or you find something wrong, and they actually tell you, like when you take delivery of your Tesla, they actually let you know, hey, if you find something wrong with the car, come back to let us know. And that's exactly what I did when I took delivery of my Tesla. And they were able to buff out the car and just address the issues that I had on the spot on that day within, I want to say like 20 minutes. It only took them like 20 minutes to address those issues. So definitely check out that pre-checklist, and I guarantee you won't have any concerns about quality. And if something comes up after delivery day, like I said, you could always schedule a mobile appointment. They'll be more than happy to address any of the concerns that you have. So the fourth misconception is around charging speed. And this was a common misconception when I first started shopping for EVs. Like this was maybe about 3, 4, maybe even 5 years ago at this point. And one of the misconceptions that I had personally was that charging time would be so slow to where the car wouldn't even, I wouldn't even be able to use the car. So charging technology since that time has come a long way. So I'll say this, when it comes to owning a Tesla, your charging speed is gonna be slow only if you're using a level 1 charger. And I know this because I use a level 1 charger for my Tesla. And it takes me, I wanna say roughly 2 days to get it fully charged. And that's if it's all the way down to, let's just say like 24% on the battery. I hardly ever get down that low. Maybe I come back from a drive and it's 50%. It usually takes about 12 hours or so to fully get it back up to the daily limit of 80%. But if you have a level 2 charger, Tesla's wall connector, you'll be getting 44 miles of range every hour. And it would take about 6 hours to fully charge your car. And that's if you go from 100%, let's just say, to 0 in one day. 0 or let's just say 5%. So when it comes to charging times, I'll say this. I think this car is rock solid when it comes to charging time. And you don't have to worry about waiting so long to get your car charged, especially since superchargers exist and you can get your full range within about 15 minutes, which is insane. All right, so the last one is around range anxiety. And it's something that I had when I had my BMW i3, just because the car only got 150 miles. So you really had to pay close attention to where your battery percentage was at any given time. But with this car, I don't have to worry about that because it gets 200, I want to say last time I checked, my energy app, it said I was getting 264 miles per charge or something like that. So it all depends on how you're driving the car, and it also depends on the season too. Because if it's in the winter, then your car is going to use a little bit more power to keep the cabin warm when you're driving. But one of the things that I like about Tesla is they actually give you all the tools that you need to ensure that you don't run out of battery. So for example, when you're trying to map out where your next destination is going to be on the Tesla Maps app within the car, it automatically puts in supercharger routes if it suspects that you'll run out of charge before you reach your destination, which I think is pretty cool. Another hidden feature that I use is the ability to actually view the battery percentage as opposed to viewing how many miles that you have left until you reach 0. And you can do that just by using a single tap on your touchscreen within your Tesla on where it displays the miles, and it will change to a battery percentage. And that's what I use, just because I feel like, which I don't really know this for sure, but consciously I feel like that's the most accurate, just because the number doesn't bounce around as much as it does when you're using the mileage display, for example. So that is the video. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. And if you're new and just passing by, feel free to just leave a quick like. I make tons of content around my 2024 Tesla Model 3 performance, and I also make car reviews. So if you like that kind of content, definitely check out my videos. If you're a returning subscriber, you might have noticed that the format is slightly different. I'm testing a new format, and I also have some new equipment. I'll throw up an image, but there's like this large light bulb in front of me. That's probably the best way I can say it. I've ditched the ring light entirely, and I'm happy with this setup so far. So it's pretty cool. Anyway, this has been John with Blackbird Productions, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.